welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with another Hong Kong content review, diving into 88 Films' brand new lineup release for Taxi Hunter, one of the first of two, I think, 88 film releases recently, and featuring these kind of really new kind of slim case editions, very much in the kind of US kind of style, which is quite cool. I actually don't mind it, kind of saves space on the shelf, and it's to kind of save on plastic, and I get the reasons why for it. There you go, get some really cool artwork. I have flipped the artwork around because it's just nice to have both. And you get the poster, and you get the disc there, and you get this really cool slipcase edition. Without further ado, let's dive into Taxi Hunter. Taxi Hunter was released in 1993, same year as my birthday, which is great, from the director of Untold Story and Ebola Syndrome. This is his third film that I've seen of his kind of film lineup. Another film starring Wong as our main leading character. And this one, I didn't know what to expect. I kind of saw the poster. I thought this might be a kind of like a category 3 movie, kind of like a sleazy kind of revenge movie. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of went into this film completely blind, like I do for most of the films I do on this channel. And what I was not expecting was a really well handled thriller that is about a character that just kind of lost his perspective on reality in a sense. This is a very surprising film, and I was not expecting it for sure. This has jam-packed full of bonus material, and I absolutely recommend picking this edition up, guys. There's some really excellent behind the scenes, kind of how this film was made and how it was put together in terms of the script, how personal the film was. There's a brilliant extra which talks about the kind of the impact of this film in terms of how it was put together, in terms of this kind of small production company. I think there's a brand new kind of interview, let's have a look on here. So interview with the screenwriter and producer who made the film, which goes into a lot of detail about how this film was put together in terms of the director. And Wong was not a big star back then, and the production company was relatively quite new. They were making kind of smaller movies, small type of budget, and they thought this film was very special. They put the script together via various different people, everyone had a say, and this film was presented on the awards season. This was a contender. They wanted this film to win some awards. They wanted to make a social commentary thriller film and have a character that wasn't just a maniac on the streets just killing people, but the reason why he was doing it wasn't justified, but you can understand the reason why he's doing it. And it was to point out something that was going on during the kind of society at the time of Hong Kong, and still is going on, according to the extras on this edition. There's no real background checks. You could be a killer, you could be someone in prison for years for various different reasons, and you could be a taxi driver, and that's very dangerous, especially when you're picking up people from late night kind of shifts, or kind of on parties, or 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. It's very scary, and there was definitely a lot of pressure, a lot of things going on at the time. The production company was kind of threatened a little bit by a lot of taxi firms, basically not to make this film, because essentially you're making a film called Taxi Hunter, a guy killing taxi kind of drivers, which is really funny in terms of the concept. I mean, it's going to sound in a certain way kind of thing, but it's interesting how the film was put together and how this and Untold Story went in at the exact same time for award season, and Untold Story won, and Amphlett won Best Leading Actor. And this backs up the kind of category 3 documentary that I watched as well, where it kind of is rumoured that Amphlett Wong basically threw his award in the bin, and he was really, really pissed off in that kind of 3 documentary. He talks about how the film was put together and how it was made, and the representation he's got from that, and he's kind of known for this role, and he absolutely hates it. He does not like it at all, and it's not what he wanted to do, not what he was started to do, and he's kind of gobsmacked that film won over this film, which has arguably a way stronger film, and it has a lot more to say, a lot more going on than, if I'm being honest, Untold Story does. And I can understand the frustration, I can understand the reasons why, but it's interesting to see kind of the kind of other people's kind of perspective on that, and how everyone was so shocked and so pissed off that that film won and this film didn't. And this film is really barely known. I've never heard of it until recently, and it's kind of one of those films that's kind of got buried underneath kind of loads of other movies. And surprisingly as well, this is not a category 3. I mean, this is category 2. Even though it is a 15, it's got some quite violence in it. It's not a category 3 film, surprisingly. And basically the reason why I like this film quite a lot, and why I would recommend it to anyone to go and check it out, is that Amphlett Reviews actually plays like a really kind of nice character. He's a very kind of average kind of person, someone who's in finance, someone who's getting kind of mugged off by kind of, you know, pushed around by a few different people. His kind of brother-in-law's a cop. He's got a wife who's got a kind of kid on the way, and this film has been compared to kind of, you know, Hong Kong's version of Falling Down by Michael Douglas. If you've seen that film, it's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely recommend watching that as well. But this is very similar to it. It's got a lot of kind of like, you know, tributes and kind of, you know, payoffs to kind of, you know, Taxi Driver as well, and a lot of Martin Scorsese films, a lot of the 70s films at the time. It's definitely got playing off some riffs and kind of some tributes to those kind of movies. Kind of got that dark edge tone, but also is not too light in its comedy. It's got a little bit of light banter, but not much. But it's very much a thriller. It's very much a drama, social commentary film. And Amphlett Wong plays like this kind of everyday kind of character, who basically his wife gets killed in a kind of a car accident with this kind of taxi kind of driver. And without giving too many spoilers, they never catch the guy who actually did it. He kind of pins the blame on the entire kind of society of what's going on with taxi kind of drivers and their exploitive nature of kind of ripping off people and being rude and kind of, you know, ganging up on people. You know, there's an example of that early on in the film where he kind of, you know, someone deliberately kind of, you know, tailgates him, and basically he has to pay like 1,000 kind of yen to basically fix the repairs, and he's got kind of mugged out of kind of a lot of money. And he's basically, his mission is to basically go out there and kill bad taxi drivers. And yeah, there's quite a few sequences where he's buying a gun, he's kind of falling off the deep end, he's kind of, you know, losing track of his work, and he's just kind of not in the right mental place, and he's just someone who's worked very hard in all of his life for a family, for his wife, for his unborn child, and he has none of that now, and he's just kind of a complete mess. And he starts to buy a gun, he starts to practice with it. You get to see some of those kind of Robert De Niro kind of inspired kind of sequence, which is quite cool. And he starts to go out and kill taxi drivers, really bad ones. And, you know, there's a great example of that, which I think is quite good, where he kind of tests quite a few different ones. Like, you know, he tries to play upon the stereotypes of a kind of a passenger, and, you know, he actually lets one go because he actually is an honest person. You know, the one taxi driver is actually going to give him the fair rate, the honest service, and he goes, okay, I'll let you go. Well, wow, and I'm actually honest taxi driver, which is quite surprising. The rest of them, he kills in very different ways, and various ways, shooting or stabbing or blowing the car up, you know, different ways happen. Well, a taxi driver is about to rape this woman, and the guy doesn't give a shit. He's just like, basically piss off, go away. And he humiliates him and basically kind of shoots him and, you know, makes a scene of him kind of thing. And there's some great sequences. It's very similar to this sequence where he's on top of the kind of taxi vehicle with the guns kind of thing, and he's kind of known as kind of like this vigilante going around the streets, and everyone's kind of applauding him. And it's this idea of he's a guy that's losing his sense of right and wrong. And the other side of the story, the kind of the B story, I would say, is the cop, who is on the back of the cover there, and he has a partner. He has this kind of partner which is very much all about American kind of, you know, culture, and someone who's a bit kind of obnoxious, a bit kind of all over the place, a bit I would say he's kind of more the kind of the wacky kind of psychic kind of comic relief character. But the comedy is actually quite appropriate. It's a bit kind of like, it's typical there kind of thing. He's saying dumb stuff, he's acting dumb stuff, but he's not a complete idiot. I like when the film actually is a character which is, he is fully comfortable with who he is. He's someone who is embracing this kind of American culture, but yet when the chips go down, when he gets a bit serious towards that third act, there's a shift in that performance which I quite appreciate. It adds a new level of kind of, you know, acting to the character. Someone who knows, oh shit, this person's in the back of my seat, he might potentially kill me. You know, his demeanor changes, his attitude changes, and you start to get invested in that character, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my god, they might actually kill this character off. And I don't want to say too much, but there was a really dark comedy kind of funny sequence at this kind of hospital with Amphlett Wong, which is very, very, very funny. And it's, you're not too sure whether you should be laughing, but it's dark comedy. It's really well played. But if you know the kind of the director and what he's like, I wouldn't surprise me if he did those certain things. But it's funny how it's played, and it's kind of messing with the audience, and it's very well handled. Again, very, very, very well handled in terms of performance. But I like the fact when you turn a character like that into someone sympathetic, someone who is in danger, someone who potentially could be killed, and oh my god, I'm actually caring what's going on, I'm actually caring this character could die. The film comes to a very kind of high intention, kind of, you know, action filled kind of, you know, third act sequence. You know, a lot of kind of explosions are happening. It's not like an action film, but like high dramatic kind of tension that's happening, great level performance. There's a really good back and forth kind of conversation between Amphlett Wong and his kind of brother-in-law, the kind of cop who's basically been trying to track down this vigilante for the entire time. And it's very heartfelt. It's very well handled. It's, again, great performance, great location, great kind of backdrop and what's happening. I love the stakes that's happening. The music choices are really well handled as well. Lots of tension, lots of I don't know what's going to happen with this, and that's a great sign when you're watching a film and you don't know what the kind of the ultimate ending goal is, because you don't know what the film's going to end up being, and it ends up really, really well, and it's really well handled. There's a lot of love and care that's gone into this film, and absolutely recommend and go and check it out, guys. Absolutely for sure. So my thoughts and opinions on Taxi Hunter. What are your thoughts, guys? Please comment down below. What is your favourite Amphlett Wong film? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions, guys. Please comment down below. So in the meantime, Amphlett Reviews, signing out.